I'm Rob, and today we're going to go over how to repaint a weight plate. Now, why would you want to repaint something that looks so good originally? Why not just use oxalic acid, take off the rust, and keep the original paint? You've probably seen me do that in some of my other videos. Well, there's a number of reasons. First of all, it might just be personal preference. Maybe you want to do something like a clear-coated version of a weight plate. Maybe you have colors other than black that you'd rather paint your weights. Maybe someone has repainted those plates. In my opinion, the number one reason why repainted plates don't look good is that the person that's repainting them doesn't properly prepare them to be painted. If you don't strip these down to bare iron, then the previous coating of paint and all the chips and all the different levels that lay within it are going to still show up when you repaint them. It will be an uneven coat. It will look poorly done. Spend a little extra effort, completely strip your plates to bare iron. The first round of plates that I'll be working on are 5-pound York milled era plates. And these are quite rare because they are milled on the backs. And the smaller weight increment Yorks are harder to find with milled backs. I first received 4 of these from the Kurt Locker. If you don't follow him, check him out. He does a lot of strongman and home gym equipment related content. So I reached out to the Kurt Locker and was able to get these 4 bright blue milled 5-pound plates. He had gotten them from Play It Again Sports once upon a time. And at first I thought I'd keep them blue just to have fond memories of the Kurt Locker. But after a while I thought, nah, we're gonna take off that blue. I bought an entire set of York Olympic weights from a gentleman out of a storage locker. They'd been sitting there for who knows how long, covered in dust, covered in rust, and the 5s were milled on the back. They were also repainted black over the years by previous owners. So I wanted to strip that kind of uneven paint off and do what I mentioned earlier, which is to properly paint them by completely stripping them bare before painting. I tried Citric Acid Powder, Citristrip Gel, and Citristrip brand spray. The Citric Acid Powder I've seen a lot of people use with great success. I didn't have that great success, but let me show you how anyway. Starting out with the Citric Acid Powder. I looked and I looked and I looked, and there were lots of different opinions on how much powder to put per gallons of water. I decided to try out 1 cup of the powder per 2 gallons. I layered the plates in a large bin using painter's triangles, and then I filled it with the powder in the water, making sure that the powder completely dissolved. In about 12 hours, I started to see bubbles on the plates, which was evidence that something good was happening in there. After 24 hours, I took the plates out, and I was a bit disappointed. The paint wasn't really coming off. That blue paint was just still there. I put them back into the bath. After another 12 hours I checked, still not much happening. After another 12 hours, so now it was 2 full days, it was a whole weekend later, I finally used the wire wheel. Now, something had happened to that paint because the wire wheel was able to take it off fairly easily, but that was still a lot of effort to wire wheel the plates. So that's where this project completely changed, and I decided there had to be a quicker way. That quicker way was with Citristrip brand products. First I tried the gel, then I tried the spray. The process for both the gel and the spray are very similar, so it'll come down to what you prefer along the way. Let's take a look at how the gel worked on these 5-pound milled Yorks. I spent over 2 days waiting on the citric acid powder bath
to do its job and still had to grind with a wire wheel these plates, and it didn't even turn out that well. Citrus Strip gel, still citric acid based, has been on here for about half an hour. That's it. And look what's happening. I am so happy. Oh my gosh, look. Like, I'm barely even pressing. This is a plastic putty knife. And look at this. Oh my goodness. So between citric acid powder in a bath versus this gel, I will take this gel any day.
So what's the method that you need to use when using Citrus Strip gel to strip the paint off of weight plates?
So with the gel, once it's ready to come off, I've been experimenting with scrapers, like putty knives, plastic putty knives, some brass brushes, and some nylon brushes. And this is my best method so far. First I scrape. I get a nice clean layer coming off. And that gets the bulk of it. But if you look closely, there's still some stuff down in there. So that's where I bring in the wire brush. And that finer part comes right off. I would then take them, put them in the water with my rubber gloves still on, and basically swish them around until they weren't slimy anymore. Once they weren't slippery and slimy, then I'd take them out, I'd dry them off, and then I would spray them with the baking soda. This process with the gel took me a little under an hour total.
Let's take a look at Citrus Strip Spray. It's made, obviously, by the same company, and whether we're using the spray or gel, they're both available for purchase through the links in the description. However, one big difference is the lack of a paintbrush. When applying the spray, you just spray it on. That's it. I used the spray on these orange 35-pound York milled era plates. I found these plates by contacting a gentleman selling 75-pound plates that then responded to my follow-up question, that famous question, do you have anything else? With yes, I have these 35-pound Yorks that my father painted orange. I've had them sitting on the rack for a while. I've decided I don't like the orange paint. Sorry, no wine cellar, there's no orange in this gym. So I took it off. This orange house paint was thick and stubborn. So it needed 2 applications. After about a half an hour, this is what I found. So I applied a second application of the spray, and then after another half an hour, so an hour total, this is what happened. I used a wire brush and a brass wire wheel at that point to really get the last little bits and pieces off of these plates, just like with the 5-pounders. And then I used some baking soda solution to neutralize that acid. Now that I had these plates down to bare iron, it was time to paint them.